Writing when you have a full-time job and during the holidays can sometimes be really difficult, but we made it through together. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Britt. I'm a contemporary romance author. I'm an actor, director, producer, dog mom, cat mom, lizard mom, all around geek, and I'm going to be sharing with you my writing update for December 2025. The month started out actually really strong. I wrote 6,349 words the first week. Specifically, the first few days, I got over 1,400 words each day, which was above what I wanted to do this month. If you remember from my video last month, I wanted to write 1,100 words on average every single day. So obviously I was starting out really strong. On the 5th is when I hit my first speed bump along the way, and I ended up taking 2 days off in a row because that was the time period in which I was moving. So if you don't know, I recently moved, which is why you're now seeing a different background. But yes, I recently moved, and moving takes a lot out of you emotionally, physically. It just takes a lot out of you, and it takes time. I needed to move all of my things. I needed to start unpacking the very crucial things. So when it came down to it, something had to give, and unfortunately for 2 days it had to be writing, which I am perfectly okay with. Week 2 was really strong with 10,322 words written over the course of that week. I didn't take a single day off, and each day that I wrote at least 1,000 words, if not up to 2,000. So honestly, week 2 went by really well, and I was feeling really at ease finally being in my new place and really making this room exactly what I wanted it to be. And I don't know, it felt really, really good. I was really, really happy. At this point, I was still writing my novella, which is a prequel to the series that I'm writing. And yes, you need to read a 6th, but I was really in a good groove at this point, which is great because the following weeks, my groove kind of dissipated just a little bit. So let's talk about it. Week 3 was by far my weakest week of the month, where I only wrote 3,804 words. So yeah, it was not a good week, but that's okay. I ended up taking 3 days off in a row. I was also in the middle of my Vlogmas time, and I was watching Christmas rom-coms, and I was working, and I was also getting ready for Christmas because Christmas was hosted here. I just was taking on way too much, and again, something had to give, and I was like, you know what? It's okay if it's my writing right now. I feel actually really contented with that idea. So I did. I took 3 days off in a row, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, where I didn't write anything, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't working on stuff. Sometimes writing isn't the only thing you have to be doing. I was also working on marketing. My book came out on the 18th. Price Check on Love came out on the 18th. So I was getting ready for that to be released, and I was working on the marketing of it and all that stuff. So it was really, really important that I just took a step back from the actual physical writing and focused on a few other things that were going to help me in the long run creatively. Week 4 to the end of the month, I wrote 10,106 words over the course of that time period. Now that also included Christmas and all that stuff. And like I said, I hosted Christmas here. So I had family in the house, I had late nights, I had cleanup to do, things like that. So I did take another couple days off. 23rd and the 24th, I took completely off. So if you're unfamiliar, my family actually celebrates Christmas on Christmas Eve, not necessarily Christmas Day. We still celebrate a little bit on Christmas Day, but it's usually just kind of a really nice morning, and we just kind of go about our day and relax for the rest of it. So there really isn't much celebrating to be done on Christmas Day. So yeah, so Christmas Eve, I just was fully devoted to getting everything ready for family to come over, for family to be here, having family here, and then ending the night watching the Santa Claus like I always do. And it just didn't lead way to any kind of writing. Then on Christmas Day, I wrote 399 words. So at least I wrote words on a day where I was supposed to be just relaxing, but that's just it. I kind of turned off my brain for most of the day. I actually ended up getting into a nice cleanup mode because this room had actually become kind of a catch-all for all the things I wanted to hide that I didn't have space for yet, because I am still organizing and unpacking and things like that. So this room kind of became a catch-all for stuff. I had put my elliptical in here because that was in the middle of entertaining space. I was able to clean this room up very, very nicely. It was a very nice healing day. Helped me rejuvenate a little bit, and I did still squeeze out some words. However, I did end the year very strong. Upon filming this, it is actually New Year's Day. So I just finished up the year last night and I wrote a total of 2,147 words last night, which theoretically I could have written more had I started a little bit earlier, but I like ringing in the new year by writing until midnight, and that's how many words I got written. Also, over the course of this final week, I finished the first draft of my prequel, and now I'm working on my next standalone book that I'll be working on in between drafts of the series, just to keep things fresh like I did with Price Check on Love. Still not here yet. It'll be here within about a week. But yeah, that's what I did with Price Check on Love. It was a standalone book, or is a standalone book that I wrote in between drafts of the series. So this will be the next one, and I started that, and I'm already 5,000 words in, so I'm feeling really good about it already. So yeah, that is how the month went week by week. So in total, I wrote 30,581 words, had an average word per day of 986 words. My best writing day was in fact yesterday, December 31st, with 2,147 words written and a total amount of writing sessions of 24. Now, if I took the full words per month and divided that amongst the actual writing days that I had, which was 24, I would have a much higher average word per day, but there were days I didn't write. So we're taking it against the whole 31, which is what gives me the 986 words per day average, which was of course not my goal. My goal was 1,100, so I missed that by a decent amount, almost 200 words per day on average. But you know what? Here's the thing. That's okay. Just because I didn't hit my goal doesn't mean I failed. I still wrote words while still working full time, while still moving, while still planning on hosting Christmas. I had a lot going on this month. It all just kind of happened all at one time. I'm okay with what ended up happening. I took care of myself when I needed to. And that's the crucial piece to all of that, is you need to remember when to take care of yourself and when to know that it's okay to push yourself a little bit further. So honestly, that's also my tip for the month too. Don't overexert yourself. Like if you need to take some time off, there is no shame in that at all. Like take all the time off you need if you need to. If that means you take a full week off, take a full week. If that means you can take a day or two off, take a day or two off. If that means taking a full month off because you are just not in the right headspace, don't push it. Make sure you're taking care of yourself before you take care of your characters, because your characters will be there. Your characters aren't going anywhere. And just because you have to take that time doesn't mean you're failing. It means that you're human. It means that you need rest. If your brain just isn't getting words out, that's your body, your brain telling you, hey, I'm overworked. Let's just take some time. Let's take a second. Recognize that, honor that, and just walk away. I know that can feel really hard to accomplish because we live in this hustle culture, right? We live in this go, go, go world. We live in this, like, if you're going to have a side hustle, you better be doing it every day. The messaging that you need to write every single day or you're going to be failing at becoming an author, especially if you're doing this part-time. We need to reframe that in our heads so that we can ensure that we're doing what's right for us and for our stories and for our families, whether that be just you, whether that be you with a partner, you with some animals, you with a partner and some children and some animals, whatever your family looks like, you need to do what's best for you and them as well. And in the month of December, that's what I did. I want you to spend January really thinking about that. I know we're already a couple of weeks in, so maybe this week what I want you to do is find some time to do some really needed self-care. And let me know what that self-care is in the comments. For me, that self-care is sitting down in front of my TV and watching a movie that I can just turn my brain off during and just vegging out, drinking a glass of wine, having my cat in my lap and my dog at my feet. That is self-care to me. What is self-care to you? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's talk about the whole year. So my grand total for the full year was 478,432 total words. My average daily word count was 1,311 words per day. My month with my highest final word count was January of last year, which was 60,236 words. And my month with the lowest total word count was 22,822 words, and that was in March. But that was also the first month where I was revising Price Check on Love, and I spent the majority of the month doing that. So that's the reason why that ended up being my lowest word count of the entire year. My highest word count for the entire year of 2025 was May 10th, where I wrote 8,230 words in one day. And my lowest word count was April 10th, where I wrote 191 words. That is obviously not including days I didn't write anything, or ones where I was taking the average word count per day through an editing process. That's the statistics for 2025. Now that we're done with the numbers of 2025, let's talk about the successes of 2025, because there were a ton of those. I started 2025 not sure which project I wanted to work on next. I actually spent the first few days after finishing the project I started in November of the year before, of 2024, finished that in January, and wasn't sure what I was going to work on next. So I started actually 3 different books at a time. One day I wrote one, another day I wrote another, and another day I wrote another, and I wanted to see what felt the best. I wanted the story to guide me. I wanted to feel inspired, and I just wasn't sure which story I wanted to work on first. And The Unwritten Rules of Hooking Up stuck. And not only did that stick, but halfway through The Unwritten Rules of Hooking Up, I realized I wanted it to be a duology because I loved the female main character's best friend and I wanted to give her her own story. So that became a duology. Then halfway through that second book, I realized I wanted to write a love story for all these other people that were side characters in that one, which is what evolved into my 7-part romance series, which I have now written all but one of those first drafts. That's huge. I did all of that in 2025. Price Check on Love, where I finished the first draft in October of 2024. I took that from its first draft all the way to its final draft and released it in December of 2025. Major things happened for me in 2025. Who cares if I didn't hit the 2,000 words a day average that I wanted to hit? Actually, the original wording of my goal this year was 2,000 words a day, which turned out really strong. Look at January again, it was 60,000 words. But once I realized that days off are actually really crucial, I switched that to an average of 2,000 words a day, which I still didn't hit, but that's okay because I have so many other things that I did so well that I'm incredibly proud of myself for. So I want you to take a moment right now, pause this video, think about it for just a second, and let me know in the comments your biggest writing successes this year. And if you're not a writer, what are some other things that you did this year that were major successes? I want to celebrate with you in the comments. Right now for me, like I said, it's January 1st of 2026. I know you're not seeing this until the second Thursday of the month, which is the 7th, but I think it's really important to set goals for the year to come. Now, granted, I obviously set a couple of goals already in my year-end video that went live on Christmas Day. So if you want, you can check that out. Otherwise, for writing specifically, I want to release at least one more book this year. I'm guessing it's probably going to be the one I'm working on right now. I got really close to 500,000 words in 2025. My goal is to hit that 500,000 words for the full year in 2026, which means I have to average 1,370 words over the course of the year, which I think is a lot more doable with a full-time job and animals to take care of and a house to maintain and all of those things, while also trying to stay active and healthy and things like that. So that's what I'm aiming for this year, which I think is very doable. I think I really overshot in 2025 by asking myself to do 2,000 words every single day, even if I changed that to an average of that, because I think I still found myself getting to 1,000, being like, oh, that's good enough, whatever. instead of celebrating the fact that I still wrote 1,000 words. So I think aiming for that 500,000 words for the course of the year, I think that's going to be a much more manageable goal. Let me know your goals for 2026, whether they're writing or not, in the comments, and I will see you all next week with my first kind of like video essay of sorts. It's pretty short, so it's not very long, but my video essay of sorts of kind of breaking down romance and tropes and just the narrative around people. Those kinds of videos are coming, and the first one is next week. I will see you all then. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.